Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Teena Jha with the news, your window to all that's happened through the day across different parts of the country as well as the world. Let's begin with the headlines this Saturday evening. Japan to invest 3.2 lakh crore rupees in India, Prime Minister Modi says both nations understand the importance of secure, trusted, predictable and stable energy for sustainable economic growth. The Japanese Prime Minister highlights need for an open and free Indo-Pacific region. Central Armed Police Forces have decisive control on fight against terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, says Home Minister Amit Shah, asserts abrogation of Article 370 brought about inclusive development in the region. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann inducts 10 members in his cabinet, approves 25,000 government jobs in the first meeting. Preparations underway in Uttar Pradesh for the swearing-in ceremony. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu appeals to people to reject colonial mindset and take pride in Indian identity, stresses on the need to restore India's glorious tradition in education sector. And Lakshya Sen enters All England Open Badminton Championships, beats defending champion Malaysia's Lee Zijia for the final berth. A quick look at some other developments through the day today. The Indian Embassy in Ukraine has released new helpline numbers and email IDs for the Indian nationals wishing to be evacuated from the war-torn country. Amid the Ukraine crisis, Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg arrived in India on a 3-day visit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the role of media in popularizing yoga, fitness and Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaigns. More than 181 crore 4 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far. The recovery rate stands at 98.73%. The BJP Legislature Party meeting to decide the new Chief Minister of Uttarakhand is likely to be held in Dehradun on Monday. The BJP has announced names of its candidates for Lok Sabha and Assembly by-polls in Assam, West Bengal, Bihar and Maharashtra. By-polls will be held on the 12th of April. G23 leader Ghulam Nabi Azad met Congress President Sonia Gandhi on Friday. With Cyclone Asani brewing over the Bay of Bengal, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands administration advised fishermen not to venture into the sea from 19 to 22nd of March. US President Joe Biden has announced his intent to nominate Indian-origin diplomat Puneet Talwar as the country's ambassador to Morocco, the second such nomination of an Indian American in a week. China's health authorities reported 2 COVID-19 deaths on Saturday, the first since January 2021. The top story of the day today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India is committed to providing all possible support to Japanese companies in India. Addressing the joint press conference after holding talks with his Japanese counterpart, Fumio Kishida, Prime Minister Modi asserted that progress, prosperity and partnership are the basis of India-Japan relationship. He said the two nations are working as one team, one project on Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail corridor. The Prime Minister also said that both India and Japan understand the importance of sustainable economic growth to tackle climate change. While Japanese Prime Minister said that both countries should increase efforts for an open and peaceful Indo-Pacific region, the two leaders also shared views on Russia-Ukraine conflict and called for a peaceful solution based on international law. During the meeting, Japan announced an investment target of 3.2 lakh crore rupees in India over the next 5 years. The two nations also signed 6 MOUs in the fields of cybersecurity, capacity building, information sharing and cooperation.
भारत और जापान दोनों ही सिक्योर, ट्रस्टेड, प्रिडिक्टेबल और स्टेबल एनर्जी सप्लाई के महत्व को समझते हैं। ये सस्टेनेबल इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ के लिए, उस लक्ष्य को पाने और क्लाइमेट चेंज की समस्या से निपटने के लिए बहुत ही अनिवार्य है। हमारी क्लीन एनर्जी पार्टनरशिप इस दिशा में लिया गया एक निर्णायक कदम साबित होगा।
Moving on, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has stressed on the need to restore India's glorious tradition in the education sector. He called for total rejection of the Macaulay system of education in the 75th year of independence, saying that it imposed a foreign language as the medium of education and confined education to the elite. Inaugurating the South Asian Institute of Peace and Reconciliation at the Dahiya Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya in Haridwar, the Vice President said that Indianization of the education system is central to India's new education policy. He also exhorted the youth to practice, propagate and promote their mother tongues.
भगवान बुद्ध जी का निर्देश है, अपदीपो भव, खुद दीप्त हो। शिक्षा के दिव्य प्रकाश में ही व्यक्ति खुद को खोज पाता है, समाज के प्रति स्वस्थ नजरिया विकसित कर पाता है, तभी वह समाज के प्रति जिम्मेदार नागरिक बन सकता है।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah participated in the 83rd Raising Day program of the Central Reserve Police Force in Jammu. Asserting that the situation in Jammu and Kashmir has improved, Amit Shah said that the security forces have achieved immense success in controlling terrorism. He also said the CRPF have played an indispensable role in maintaining internal security in the northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, and also the Naxal-affected areas. He expressed hope that CRPF won't be required in these areas in the coming years. Amit Shah also lauded the forces for playing an important role in the peaceful conduct of elections, which he described as the festival of democracy. After reaching Jammu on Friday, Amit Shah handed over job appointment letters to keen of Jammu and Kashmir police personnel who were killed in terrorist incidents.
क्षेत्र के अंदर पारदर्शिता को लाने में जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार को बड़ी सफलता मिली है। आजादी के बाद पहली बार भ्रष्टाचार के विरोध में एक बहुत बड़ा अभियान दोनों प्रकार से किया गया। भ्रष्ट लोगों को नसीहत करने का भी अभियान लिया गया और सिस्टम के अंदर से, प्रशासन के अंदर से भ्रष्टाचार कैसे नाबूद हो, इसके लिए भी एक बहुत बड़े बदलाव करने का काम जम्मू कश्मीर प्रशासन ने किया है।
10 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs, including a woman, were inducted in the Bhagwant Mann-led cabinet in Punjab today. Governor Banwari Lal Purohit administered the oath of office and secrecy to the ministers at the Punjab Bhavan. Among the 10, 8 are first-time MLAs. Harpal Singh Cheema, Harbhajan Singh, Dr. Vijay Singla, Lao Chand, Gurmeet Singh, Meet Haier, Kuldeep Singh Dhaliwal, Laljit Singh Bhullar, Brahm Shankar Jimpa, Harjot Singh Bains and Dr. Baljit Kaur, the lone woman in the cabinet, were administered the oath. And the first cabinet meeting of the newly sworn-in Punjab government was held in Chandigarh. Chaired by Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann, the cabinet passed a resolution to give a total of 25,000 government jobs, which include 10,000 vacancies in Punjab Police Department and 15,000 vacancies in other government departments.
25,000 ਸਰਕਾਰੀ ਨੌਕਰੀਆਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਏਜੰਡਾ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੈਬਨਿਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਪਾਸ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 10,000 ਪੰਜਾਬ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਅਹੁਦਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਅਤੇ 15,000 ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ, ਬੋਰਡ ਤੇ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਸ਼ਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਨੇ। ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਨੌਕਰੀਆਂ ਮਿਲਣਗੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਮਿਲਣਗੀਆਂ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਲਈ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਓਡੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਮਿਲੂ। ਕੋਈ ਭੇਦਭਾਵ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਿਫਾਰਿਸ਼ ਜਾਂ ਰਿਸ਼ਵਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲੂਗੀ।
Meanwhile, preparations have begun for government formation in Uttar Pradesh as well. The caretaker Chief Minister of the state, Yogi Adityanath, will take oath as the Chief Minister on 25th of March at the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Stadium. Additional Chief Secretary Information, Navneet Sehgal, took stock of the preparations at the stadium. The work on the formation of new government in Uttarakhand has also begun. According to state media in charge, Manveer Chauhan, the BJP legislature party will meet in Dehradun on Sunday as well as Monday. News now from states. The Tamil Nadu government presented the agriculture budget for 2022-23 worth 33,000 crore rupees in the State Assembly on Saturday. Presenting the budget, Tamil Nadu Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister M.R.K. Paneerselvam stated that over 2,300 crore rupees have been allocated for the crop insurance scheme. The week-long budget session of Nagaland Legislative Assembly also commenced today. Addressing the first day of the session, Nagaland Governor Professor Jagdish Mukhi expressed confidence that the long-cherished solution of Naga's political issue will soon become a reality. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan visited the injured in the Raisen violence at the Hamidiya Hospital in Bhopal. One person was killed while two others injured in a clash between two groups in Raisen district. The state government has announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees for the family of the deceased and 2 lakh rupees for those injured. Caretaker Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh Yogi Adityanath took part in the holy celebrations in Gorakhpur on Saturday. Participating in a religious procession, Yogi Adityanath said that for the first time in 2 years, COVID-19 is under control on the occasion of Holi. 8 people were killed and 20 others injured when a passenger bus overturned near Pavagada in Karnataka's Tumkuru district. About 60 people were on the bus at the time of the accident. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla expressed grief over the unfortunate accident. The 35th Surajkund International Crafts Mela has also begun in Faridabad near New Delhi. The 15-day art, culture and handicraft fair was inaugurated by the Haryana Governor Bandaru Dattatreya and also Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar on Saturday. The fair is being organized after a gap of 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A total of 2,20,000 tourists visited Kaziranga National Park in Assam during the year 2021-22, which is the highest in the last 12 years. However, the number of foreign tourists visiting the UNESCO World Heritage Site decreased in the last 2 years due to COVID-19 related restrictions. Heat wave conditions continue to prevail in many parts of Rajasthan with 43.2 degrees Celsius. Barmer was the hottest in the state. Areas like Falodi, Dungarpur and Banswara also recorded around 43 degrees Celsius. Though the region is no stranger to such weather conditions, but in the month of March, it is very rare. From heat wave to cold weather conditions, snow clearance work is underway on Mughal Road in Rajouri, Jammu and Kashmir. The area falls under Pir Panjal mountain range of the Himalayas. On the other hand, the vehicular traffic on Srinagar-Kargil Road has also been opened after a period of 2 months. And with that, time for a short break here. But coming up on the other side, we'll tell you about the economic cost of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Do stay with us.
भारत लाखों बरस प्राचीन सभ्यता, जिसे घर के जयचंदू और मीर जाफरों ने गुलाम बनने पर किया मजबूर। देशभक्तों ने अपनी जान न्यौछावर करके भारत को करवाया आजाद और भारत को प्रेम करने वाले देश प्रेमियों ने किया नव भारत का निर्माण। नव भारत के निर्माता सिर्फ संसद टीवी पर।
Thanks for staying with us on the news. Let's now get you all the latest updates from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russian forces are blockading his country's largest cities to wear the population down into submission. He also warned that the strategy will fail and Moscow will lose in the long run if it does not end its war. On the other hand, President Putin has said that the Russians are with him. He in fact insisted that his actions were necessary. Here's a report.
Amidst the growing opposition to his Ukraine operation, it was the perfect opportunity for Russian President Vladimir Putin to address his citizens and explain what he really intended to do. At the 8th anniversary of the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula, Putin said the aim of the military operation in Ukraine and in the separatist Donbas region was to end the suffering of people and the genocide. In reply to Putin's stadium extravaganza, Ukrainian President Zelensky reminded him of the cost of the conflict. He said it was time for Moscow to begin peace talks in earnest to avoid incurring higher losses. Away from the hostility, two world powers, USA and China, deliberated over the situation via a video link. The US made it clear that it does not want China to provide material support to Russia. At the end of the 2-hour-long meeting, Chinese official media reported that China does not want a Cold War situation with America, and as far as Ukraine is concerned, it will work to establish peace between the warring nations. Away from the diplomatic posturing, on the ground, tension is at the peak. One of the prime victims of the war, Kharkiv, continued to bear the brunt of the Russian shelling. Russian airstrike bombed city's main market and other important areas. At least one firefighter died in doing efforts. The Russian forces also targeted capital Kiev's residential areas and school buildings. Despite preparedness, one civilian was killed and at least 19 wounded. For Ukraine, there was plenty to display. The Ukrainian army displayed the military tanks and trucks left by the Russian military. At the capital Kiev, residents chose to display 1.5 million tulips at the center square. Now it's up to the world leaders what they really like to watch. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Meanwhile, Ukraine and Russia have agreed upon 10 humanitarian corridors for evacuation of people stranded in various parts of the country. These include a corridor from the besieged port city of Mariupol, several in the Kiev region, and several also in the Luhansk region. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk also announced plans to deliver humanitarian aid to the city of Kherson, which is currently under the control of the Russian forces. Meanwhile, the UN Migration Agency has said that the Russia-Ukraine war has sparked Europe's gravest refugee crisis since the Second World War. UNHCR, the UN's refugee agency, stated that over 3.2 million people have fled the country till now. Estimates also show that nearly 6.5 million people have been displaced inside Ukraine. A paper issued on Friday by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said around a quarter of Ukraine's 44 million population has been forced to leave their homes. India has backed the convention prohibiting biological weapons at the United Nations Security Council. At the United Nations Security Council, India advocated the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention, saying that it is important to ensure its implementation in letter and spirit. India maintained its stand on the use of biological weapons and said that any matter relating to obligations under the BTWC should be addressed through consultations and cooperation. Also expressing concern of the ongoing situation in Ukraine, India added that it welcomes the latest round of diplomatic talks between Russia and Ukraine. The biggest enemy of economic growth is war, and Ukraine and Russia conflict is not going to be any exception. According to the United Nations, if the present war continues over the next year, 9 out of 10 Ukrainians could be plunged into poverty. Here's a report.
Once a beautiful city, the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv, is fast turning into a pile of debris. Constant bombing by Russian forces have destroyed markets, public places, houses, and other important facilities. As per economists, even if the war comes to an end today, the cost of damage is going to hurt the common Ukrainian the hardest.
The extreme end of the scenario is an implosion of the economy as a whole, and that could ultimately lead to up to 90% of people either being below the poverty line or being at high risk of, which is defined in international terminology and statistics that we use at a range of between $5.50 and $13. So the consequences clearly are already visible right now.
Before the conflict started, roughly 2% of Ukraine's population was under poverty. But today, nearly 50% of businesses are closed and the rest are struggling to survive.
This war is not only causing extreme human suffering and an extreme urgency in trying to address the survival needs of people right now, whether it is internally displaced people, refugees, it is also hollowing out the economy of Ukraine. And with that, in a sense, we estimate that up to 18 years of development gains of the Ukraine could simply be wiped out in a matter of 12 to 18 months.
According to the IMF, Ukraine's economy is expected to contract by 10% in 2022 as a result of Russia's invasion. However, the outlook could worsen sharply if the conflict lasts longer. The World Bank has approved a support package worth $3 billion for Ukraine. But it will take a lot more to rebuild Ukraine. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Let's now get you some other updates from other parts of the world. Thousands of people took to the streets in several cities of Brazil demanding better housing policies. The protesters called upon the Supreme Court to extend a moratorium on evictions imposed during the pandemic that will expire at the end of March. According to the national campaign Despejo Zero, meaning zero eviction, 132,000 people are at risk of being evicted from their houses. These people are still suffering from the economic consequences of the COVID pandemic. Nearly 1 million people in East Timor voted in the presidential election on Saturday amid protracted political crisis and economic uncertainty. Voters lined up to cast their ballots as polling booths opened at 7 a.m. across the country. Incumbent Francisco Leolo Guterres, a former guerrilla leader from the Revolutionary Front for an Independent East Timor party, known by its local acronym Fretilin, is running against 15 other candidates, including 4 women. Germany's lawmakers have voted for the withdrawal of COVID restrictions despite a surge in infections with almost 3 lakh new daily cases. The Bundestag passed an amendment to the pandemic rules in a 388 to 277 vote with 2 abstentions. The upper house of parliament, made up of Germany's 16 states, is expected to consider the measure later on Friday. The changes mean that the requirement to wear face masks will be dropped for most public settings from Sunday, though they may still be required on public transport. Chinese National Health Commission has backed the country's onerous COVID-19 prevention strategy. The commission said that although virus measures come at a price, they were worth it to protect public health. Rounds of mass testing, lockdowns, quarantine and intensive contact tracing are regular measures that the Chinese authorities have used frequently to curb domestic outbreak of the coronavirus. While the strategy has been proven successful in keeping things under control in the country, especially compared to the rest of the world, it has disrupted people's lives and shut down local economy from time to time. China is under worst outbreak of the COVID-19 in the last 2 years. Texas is threatened by massive wildfire. In fact, Texas governor issued a disaster declaration for 11 countries. Several blazes burning about 100 miles west of Fort Worth since Thursday grew and also combined into a 70 square mile behemoth now called the Eastland Complex Fire. At least 50 homes have been destroyed and nearly 500 others evacuated in the surrounding communities as flames fueled by wind have eaten through thousands of acres of extremely dry grass. And time now for all the sporting action. So let's begin with badminton today. It's good news for India as Lakshya Sen has made it to the finals of the prestigious All England Badminton Championships. In the semi-finals, Lakshya faced 6th seed beating defending champion Malaysia's Lee Zijia. He won the first game 21-13, but Jia made a comeback in the second game, winning it 21-12 and levelling the match. In the decider, when Jia led 14-10, it seemed curtains down for Lakshya, but he rallied, levelling the score at 18-all and then held the nerve, winning in 3 games, 21-12, 13-21, 21-19. Moving to billiards, ace Indian cueist Pankaj Advani has bagged the Asian billiards title for the 8th time. Advani beat compatriot Dhruv Sitwala by 6 frames to win his 8th title at the 19th Asian 100 UP Billiards Championship 2022 played in Doha. This is Advani's 24th international title and the 8th Asian crown. Talking about cricket, Australia have entered the semi-finals of the Women's World Cup with a 5th win on the bounce, beating India by 6 wickets. India, runners-up in the 2017 World Cup when they knocked Australia out in the semi-finals, now face 2 must-win games to hold on to any hopes of finishing in the top 4. India will now play Bangladesh on Tuesday, and their final first-round match is against yet unbeaten South Africa on Sunday, the 27th of March. Starting the match on the 4th place in the points table, India today put a fighting total of 277 for 7, batting first, and challenged Australia with the highest successful chase in the tournament so far. 3 Indian batters made half-centuries. Yastika Bhatia made 59, Captain Mithali Raj scored 68, and Harmanpreet Kaur made a score of 57 not out of just 47 balls. With what is being termed by many as the best ever batting lineup in women's cricket, Australia had little difficulty in overhauling the Indian total. Captain Meg Lanning scored 97 and was unlucky to miss on a century by just 3 runs. However, it was Eliza Healy along with her opening partner Rachel Hines who laid the foundation of an easy Aussie victory. Healy scored a quick-fire 72 off just 65 balls and had a 121 runs first wicket partnership with Hines, who scored 43. Veteran Indian pacer Jhulan Goswami has achieved yet another milestone as she became the second women cricketer to play 200 ODIs. Jhulan achieved the feat playing against Australia at Auckland, New Zealand in the ongoing ICC Women's ODI World Cup 2022. Prior to her, India's Mithali Raj holds the record of playing the highest number of ODIs in women's cricket. She's played 230 ODIs so far. Mithali is also currently leading Team India at the ongoing World Cup. Moving to football, the quarterfinals draw for the UEFA Champions League season 2021-22 is out. Troubled holders Chelsea will take on the most successful team of the competition ever, 13-time champion Real Madrid. English giants Manchester City will face Spain's Atletico Madrid. Liverpool have been drawn to play Benfica, while Bayern Munich were paired with Spanish side Villarreal. Barcelona were drawn to play Eintracht Frankfurt in the quarterfinals of this season's Europa League on Friday, while West Ham United will take on Lyon. Appearing in Europe's second-tier club competition for the first time since 2004, following their exit from the Champions League in the group stage, Barcelona qualified for the quarterfinals by beating Galatasaray of Turkey 2-1 on aggregate. In tennis, number 3 seed Iga Swiatek of Poland extended her winning streak to 10 straight victories on the WTA Tour with a 7-6, 6-4 semi-final win over 2015 Indian World Champion Simona Halep of Romania, advancing to the BNP Paribas Open Championship match for the first time. Swiatek came back from a breakdown in each set of the semi-finals, saving 2 set points in the first set tie-break to boot as she notched the win and levelled her head-to-head with Halep to 2-all. Swiatek will play Maria Sakkari from Greece in the finals of the WTA Indian Wells Tournament. Sakkari beat defending champion Paula Badosa from Spain to reach the biggest final of her career. Sakkari broke down in tears after overcoming the Spaniard 6-2, 4-6, 6-1. And before we wind up, a quick relook at the headlines. Japan to invest 3.2 lakh crore rupees in India. Prime Minister Modi says both nations understand the importance of secure, trusted, predictable and stable energy for sustainable economic growth. The Japanese Prime Minister highlights the need for an open and free Indo-Pacific region. Central Armed Police Forces have decisive control on fight against terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, says Home Minister Amit Shah, asserts abrogation of Article 370 brought about inclusive development in the region. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann inducts 10 members in his cabinet, approves 25,000 government jobs in the first meeting. Preparations also underway in Uttar Pradesh for the swearing-in ceremony of Yogi Adityanath. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu appeals to people to reject colonial mindset and take pride in Indian identity, stresses on the need to restore India's glorious tradition in the education sector. And Lakshya Sen enters All England Open Badminton Championship, beats defending champion Malaysia's Lee Zijia for the final berth. So that's it from us in this bulletin. Thank you for your time. Good night.